Hello, hi. Good morning. This is going to be a perhaps more subdued podcast than I've released in the past because I'm just feeling a little subdued today. Um, so maybe you're missing the hardcore introductory music that I usually play. Um, I've instead got some healing Hertz music on in the background. So, listen, we are in this season of well, for me, I just completed my solar return. It was my birthday not too long ago. And so being in your sign season is always an interesting composting of all the things that your body is asking you to release. And I realized um, that there was still some stuff stuck in there, floating up from old wounds of my married boyfriend that I used to date. I stopped talking about him publicly. I mean, as often, every now and then I'll say something, but I think it was January where I officially was like, I can't talk about this anymore. Because I was on this loop of pain. And it turns out that, I realized that I was still holding out hope that he would finally choose me. And because of that, my dating life has been very interesting because I'm really not available. So I'm just, uh, playing. I'm just playing with my heart, playing with other people's hearts, playing with my energy, playing with other people's energy. It's just not been real, um, evolutionarily smart. I will use that term because I'm not hating on myself. I'm accepting all the bits. And also, let's make a better choice that will actually aid us in evolving and moving past this karmic cycle and this loop of pain. So, everything's been asking me to release. My cards this morning were very poignant about now's the time, Rebekah. You got to get rid of this shit. So I did this meditation. It was a cord cutting meditation. It was so beautiful. I will happily send it to you. It is to retrain your nervous system to their absence. So you are no longer holding energetic space in your body for them to exist. And also training your nervous system that it is safe to release them. It is so fascinating to me that our nervous systems are the ones that control all the things, right? They are the ones that tell us what's safe to explore, what's safe to feel, what's safe to say, what's safe to do. And if we are not consistently paying attention to how they are regulated, how our nervous system is regulated, then we are largely being dictated to by this fight or flight in our bodies that is just there to protect us. And so this cord cutting was unlike anything I've ever done. I've done cord cutting meditations many times before, but this one was a very interesting visualization of looking at him with this cord. It was actually a ribbon between us, which is about the most fragile string possible that I could imagine. Maybe silly string would have been more applicable, but it was a ribbon in my visualization. And my future self was the one that came in and said, "It is safe to release. You are safe." And I gave her permission to cut it. And it was just this beautiful thing. And then I said some mantras over, I'm bringing my energy back to myself. all the bits, all the parts, all the things, coming back to myself. And I was thinking about how so much of pain is about composting things into being a part of our essence that helps us to become a better version of ourselves. And composting takes a very long time. It's so fascinating to me. And that's kind of how I felt today, was that I'm finally composting the pain into something. So I went into this podcast thinking, or wanting to talk about the idea that single women live longer than married women, and married men live longer than single men. There's been a lot of research done about this, why this is, what is the science behind this, what's the psychology behind this, what is really going on in the background. And as you can imagine, men largely haven't been taught to do any emotional labor of their own. They have outsourced everything to their wives. And I think we're in a new paradigm where the shift is starting to take place, where women feel just completely drained. And I think that happens around my age, around 40s, when our children are old enough to care for themselves. Then we start coming back to ourselves and realizing that our husbands largely have been one of our children. That's why you often hear women say that are married, I feel like I have 3 kids. I've got 2 kids and a husband. I said that when I was married also. And it's really no fault of anybody necessarily. It's just the structure that we've been given of how relationships work, or how they have, or what they look like, rather, the template. And what happens is that the woman is being drained on a consistent basis by everyone in the house. Her children and her husband are just taking from her. So her life force is just leaking out of her every day. And it's not a nefarious thing that's happening, I don't believe. It's just, the template that we've been given. This is what patriarchy has created. We've created men who are largely emotionally unavailable, who are not aware of their emotions at all, who think that them moving through the world as emotionless beings is a superior way to exist, and have consistently separated themselves from their emotions. And because of that, women have taken on the load, because we know that that's a necessary component to moving through the world. We are all emotional beings. And you can see it in men when they have some radical thing happen in their life. When their dog dies, all the emotions that they've been repressing come out. Or when something really catastrophic happens, then you see them completely break down, because they haven't had the daily exercise of what it looks like to maintain this emotional, energetic landscape that is necessary to being a vibrant human being. That's why they get so angry. That's why sports are often violent. That's why they get drunk and have bar fights. I mean, the ways in which men have found outlets to this are typically very toxic and dangerous, not only to themselves but other people, and uncomfortable. So it's just like this, we see you disintegrating, and we know that it's because you do not feel safe to express your daily emotions of nervous system regulation that is telling you you're unsafe in this environment, or this person triggers you and you don't know what to do with that because you have no language to describe it. You haven't gone into that arena in your mind and body at all. So you're just like total babies. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory sense. I'm saying that in a sense of there is no emotional maturity. Women, on the other hand, have had to hone that skill. So I think what is ours to do, and this applies to my cord cutting that I did this morning, because so much of that relationship that I fell into and developed this serious attachment to this man was because I knew he had great potential and wasn't living it. At least that was my summation of what was happening. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that was what I felt. So I swooped in to be the emotional savior of someone that was very broken, or what I perceive to be a very broken man. And gave all my energy and life force into that relationship. And then when it didn't work out, it caused a great break in my nervous system. I felt just incredibly distressed. And, obviously I'm still recovering from that. Hopefully today's cord cutting ceremony is the last piece of that. And I can just fully release him so that I can energetically make space for my magnetic match. And so, thinking through all the ways in which we have done this to ourselves as women, I started thinking, how do I know when someone is protecting my radiance? I went to this Halloween party this weekend, and I dressed up as a hunter's wife. It was for hunters, because this is the opening season this weekend in my town for hunting. I guess it's a statewide thing. I don't really know. I don't have my thumb on the heartbeat of hunting. But anyways, I dressed up as a hunting wife. I had this ball gown on with cowboy boots, and I did have a gun, but I forgot my gun prop at home. It was a toy gun, so I was going to bring in a real gun without bullets, and they were like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. So anyways, if you haven't seen that show, Hunting Wives, it's really fascinating, very interesting. And someone told me that I was radiant, and I thought, I think that is perhaps the best compliment I've ever gotten. It just like encompasses all the things, right? Your inner being and your outer being. So, how do we as women, because obviously the answer isn't to leave your husbands in order to live longer. Like, that's not the answer. A partnership is a beautiful gift. And I'm very sad sometimes that I don't have a partner. I long for one sometimes. So I know that that's the answer isn't to just all be single, because there's so much that happens in an intimate relationship that you do not get from anyone else. So much growth, so much composting of wounds, and learning how to manage your emotions in the face of someone who is able to get to you in a way that nobody else can. These are really beautiful gifts of being in a partnership. Someone to manage the load of, just the household chores, and monetarily, and the raising of the children, and all these things. The structure of family is a beautiful gift. And so I think our task as women and men is to navigate what it looks like to be your energetic sovereign being, your own sovereign being who is responsible for your own energy. And so protecting your radiance is your life force. It's your emotional availability. It's your sensual power. It's your intuitive clarity. It is your grounded presence. It is your joy. Radiance isn't something that you do. It is something you become when you're not leaking energy. And I know that I'm fucking radiant. I feel it in me every day. I know that I exude joy and peace and happiness and that I am present in my life. I've worked incredibly hard and addressed all the things about my internal state of being in order to achieve this peace that I know other people see. So it's not something that I am necessarily by default. It is something that I have worked real hard to become. So when you feel expansive and magnetic and alive, that is radiance, and radiance is power without force. I'm not forcing anything in my life. I let it flow to me. I let people come to me because I know that I am a very aggressive person. And when I enter into anybody's life, typically without their inviting me to be a part of their space, it usually doesn't go well. So I've learned to just kind of sit back and let life come to me, let people come to me, let things come to me. That my aggression and my, I can make anything happen. And I did largely for most of my life in this very pushy, forceful way. And it didn't really turn out. I mean, my life is beautiful. It is exactly as it was meant to be. I'm not hating on any parts of it, but I can see places where I made it harder, perhaps, than it needed to be by being so intimidating or aggressive. Let's just use that word. Okay, so what happens when your radiance is drained? These are ways in which you can tell when someone is draining your radiance. And I've had quite a few relationships lately that I've had to just let vibrate out of my life. I love that term. One of my podcast guests said that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. I'm going to be using that. They vibrated out of my life. So you can tell when your radiance gets dimmed, when you over explain yourself, when you carry someone's emotions for them, when you rescue people from their pain, when you are constantly trying to prove your worth, when you're entertaining people who are emotionally unavailable, and when you tolerate chronic negativity or victim mentality. Energetic leaks always show up. They always show up in some way, shape, or form. And we have different language to describe what's happening because we like to believe that we're just this body. But really, this body is just energy that is, if you could just imagine us as like a series of numbers, that's basically what a human being is. So we are just particles of light, and we are disoriented when we're not in alignment, when we're living out someone else's programming of ourselves, when we have these belief systems that keep us connected to our higher selves or to evolution or to the natural flow of energy in the world. We're just in disarray and largely running a virus, like we're a computer who has been coded with viruses instead of good programming that helps everything work efficiently. Okay, so your radiance is, you could tell that it's not in alignment or that something is draining you when all of those things happen. And then you feel exhausted in your body. You feel resentful. You feel depleted. You feel like I'm not myself. I don't know who I am, but I'm not myself. So these are just signs that you know something is draining your life force. And when you decide to protect your radiance, which is the goal, if we want to stay in relationship with men and women, because this is just about people's energy. It's not necessarily a gender specific thing. this is just, I think, in relationship to anybody, you can apply this just like I have just said. A lot of my friendships have vibrated out for this reason, because I felt like I was not myself. I was exhausted in their presence. I felt very on guard, um, like they were misunderstanding my words. And has nothing to do with them. This is all about me and leaking my own energy and how I can maintain that. So when you decide where your energy flows and where it doesn't is one of the greatest gifts of protecting your energy. You're not doing it out of defense, you're doing it from a place of discernment. And I think as women, we've been told that everybody gets to have access to us at all times, that we don't have any sacred space that is just ours. And I think that that is um, dangerous, if I can use such a intense word to describe that. I think it's dangerous. I think that's why we end up sick and depressed and anxious, is because we give people access to us all the time, willy-nilly. They don't have to do anything to get it. We just give it freely. Energetic boundaries are not walls, they are choices. So here are some boundaries that will help you protect your radiance. You do not carry what's yours. I care for you, but I don't carry it. And that is across the board, period, full stop. Everybody has the ability to carry their own shit. They don't need you to do it. Period. I don't give a shit who they are to you. They have been given the same amount of ability to carry their shit as you have. You were not created to be their emotional dumping ground. They have to do that for themselves. And doing that for other people enables them to continue whatever lifestyle choices they are doing that are destructive. You're aiding them when you carry their shit. It's not yours to carry, period. You're not a fucking savior. Just sit the fuck down. Take care of yourself. Number 2, I don't overstay in conversations or spaces where my nervous system contracts. Your body is always telling you whether this person is safe or not. If you feel drained when you leave a situation with someone, you know they're not for you. Okay? They are just an energetic vampire. Next time, just remember that and maybe spend an hour with them instead of 3 hours. Just be like, this is all that I have to provide you today. And that is not mean. That is love. Love for you and them. Number 3, you do not explain your intuition. Intuition is not up for debate. No is a complete sentence. I don't have to explain to you why I'm leaving. I don't have to explain to you why I don't want to talk to you anymore. Although I usually do, because I feel like it's kind. But some people can't handle the information. So no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anybody an explanation. I told that to someone. And I've said it often throughout my life. I'm not in the habit of defending myself, and I'm not going to start now with you. So you either deal with how I show up in the world or you don't. But I feel fine about whatever the outcome is. Number 4, I allow others to solve their own problems. Empathy without responsibility. You are not responsible for another human being's life. I trust you to handle your life, unless they're children, obviously. Then you're in the caretaker role, obviously. But trusting other people to handle their life is a significant part of having a balanced relationship with someone. Like, I'm not the answer. I can't be there every time you're upset. You don't get access to me because you have some emotional breakdown. You got to figure it out on your own. And I think that's part of why single women thrive so well, because we are our own saviors. Like, there's nobody here to soothe me and comfort me when I'm upset. Sure, I have friends that I can call or that I can send a message to, but typically that is not until after I have dealt with the issue myself, because I know it's just me. I'm the one that has to figure this out. I'm the one with the consequences of whatever choice I make because of this thing. And so I'm just trusting myself to figure it out. My higher self knows better than my friends know what is good for me. Number 5, I don't give emotional intimacy to people who haven't earned relational safety. Presence is earned. Access to me is a privilege, not a default. That's a real hard thing to implement in your life, especially when you're surrounded by people that are used to having access to you. How you know that your radiance is protected is when your body feels open and relaxed. You don't need to justify your choices. You feel like yourself after interactions, not smaller. You don't fantasize about disappearing or isolating. You have energy left at the end of the day. If you notice any of these, then your radiance is intact and your energy is protected. We are not meant to be the saviors of anybody in the world, period, full stop. And I think that we have distorted the message of Jesus by making him a savior. I think he probably feels very energetically drained wherever he is. I mean, obviously not. The man ascended, so he's in his higher consciousness. He is just fine wherever his essence is. Um, it's fine if we're trying to put on him all of our cares and burdens. Oh my God, can you? It's just so funny to me. No, no, one person cannot hold that. That is insane to think that he's ever been in that position, but I get it. It's about the message of doing it for your damn self. That I think that's what Jesus was saying all along. I'm not it. The way I'm teaching you is it. Not me personally in this human body with all of the same shit you're dealing with. We like to pretend he was without imperfections, but I mean that's what keeps us in this human body. You have to have imperfection in order to exist in this physical body. For whatever reason, light and dark are necessary. Anyways, that is a great tangent, but I just really enjoyed that dive. I liked exploring that topic of how do we maintain being a vibrant person regardless of our relational status. How can we teach others around us to do the same thing for themselves? And I think that's the journey. Thank you for sitting through this with me. I am thoroughly loving all the bits about being on this journey. I think it's just real cool that we get to walk each other home. Don't forget who the fuck you are. You are the divine in human form. Bye.